Hello everybody, we are in Hong Kong right now and I got up kind of early to make sure that I had time to film this before I went to work. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about how I started my career, how I got into flying. I've been seeing a lot of questions in the comment section about that, so I'll answer some questions along the way and I'll just kind of run through how it started and how I went from 0 to where I am right now. Yeah. So I started flight training in 2019. That's when I took my first intro flight / demo flight. And my initial goal was to just get my private license, but it was so fun flying and just going up that I decided this is gonna be a full-time thing and I'm just gonna go all in. Because I was still in college. I was attending college in Korea and I took a year off to come back home to just get my private and then go back to finish college, but I ended up just dropping out of college and I stayed here. And then I had to go start college from 0 credit again eventually, and I finished, but that's like a whole nother thing. But anyway, so I started in 2019 and I got my private in approximately 3.5 months. I begged my instructor to schedule me every single day, which he told me that's like insane, like don't do that, you are gonna burn out real fast. So, and he was right. So he scheduled me 4 or 5 times a week, and that's still quite a lot. So I did that, got my private in about 3.5 months, and then I met my instrument instructor who was very passionate about getting me done as soon as possible, which is great because it worked out for me. I got my instrument rating done in about 2.5 months. And this was in early 2020 when COVID first hit. There was absolutely nobody flying. Like LAX was empty. I trained out of California, SoCal. But LAX was completely empty. There was no one in the air. There was no traffic on the freeway either. There was just no one outside. So it was perfect for me because I was able to schedule me and my instructor every single day whenever I wanted. There were never delays. I never had to hold short and wait for a plane. It was very much expedited. And then for my commercial, I stuck with my instrument instructor through commercial. So the way he worked it out, and it was actually really perfect, it lined up really nicely. He scheduled my commercial check ride when I was still working on instrument, because he was like, you are gonna come in these days. If you can promise me this, I will get your commercial done in X number of days. And so I got my instrument, took 1 day off, next day came in back every single day for my commercial training. I mainly studied on my own. I just did the flight training portion with the instructor, and I also flew on my own too because I had to build hours to get to 250. And so I got my commercial done in like literally 3 weeks. It was quick. That was really fast. Now, between commercial and CFI, I took like a good 6 months off. It was COVID, no one was really doing anything, so I didn't really feel that bad, but I was still going through college and I had a part-time job. I was a boba barista. I made boba. And I also worked at Din Tai Fung. I did a lot of stuff, but I just kind of chilled and did nothing. And during the time, I did slowly start getting my lesson plans ready for my CFI training. But after that, I started CFI. And once I started, I already had my lesson plan all organized. Like I was pretty much good to go. I just wanted to get checked up by a professional, by an instructor who was gonna sign me off. So I got a group of friends who were all working on CFI together. And we found an instructor who was able to get us done. I finished in, I want to say under 3 months. I can't remember exactly how many days, but it was under 3 months. I got my CFI done. And then as soon as I finished, I went on like a mini vacation for like a month. And then after I came back from my mini vacation, I got hired at the school that I did I got hired at the school I primarily trained at. And then as I was doing that, I got my CFII, which is instructor for instrument rating, which means I could teach students under clouds with like foggles. So I got that done as I was teaching, and one of my friends CFIs signed me off for that, so it was super quick. Like I did one flight with him and he was like, you're good to go. So that was my training. It was really easy. So I got my CFII done a few months after I started teaching, and then the month after that I started working on my multi-engine, because you need to get that to become an airline pilot, plus a bunch of hours in that plane or in some kind of multi-engine plane. So I got my multi-engine while I was starting out a new job at a company that did aerial mapping. So we would like map areas. It was really fun. My friend introduced me to that. So as for the timeline, so I got my aerial surveying job and I started training in January. And then the same month, I started my multi-engine training at a school near me. I got introduced to by a friend. Anyways, so I did both at the same time. And a lot of people told me don't do that because you're gonna like confuse yourself and you're gonna ruin both. I was like, I am focused, I am the prize, I'm gonna get it done. So while I was gone, I was in San Jose for the aerial mapping training. While I was at the hotel after class ended, I just sat down on my bed and I was chair flying my multi-engine, my airplane flows and stuff. Like I was just chair flying. So it worked out. In totality, I was an instructor for 14 months total before I left for airline training. I got my CJO at my first airline when I had like 900,000 hours back in 2022. But me hitting 1,500 hours, which is the minimum hours required to start working at an airline or to get hired at an airline, I instructed for 12 months to get to that point. 10 months to get to that point. So I flew an average of 120 hours every single month since the day I started instructing. I never flew under 100 hours a month because I was a hoe for hours. I did whatever I could to fly. If I couldn't fill the 120 hours, or that was my personal goal, then I would just ask if any students or like my friend who had an airplane, just people who had planes, if they wanted free instruction or if they just wanted me to be a safety pilot. I just went up whenever I could. So that's how I met my goal. And 2022 was like the prime time to get hired at airlines. So I got really lucky. I slipped in pretty nicely and it all worked out. So I see some questions in the comment section. So I organized it a little bit and I'm gonna answer a couple of them. So let's get started. First question, how old or when did you start your pilot path / career? So I started flying, I got my first intro flight in when I was 20 years old. And then as for the career, I got my first job as a pilot where I started making money when I was 22 years old. Yeah, I was an instructor and I was also an aerial survey pilot. So I did both jobs simultaneously, and that's how I built my hours. So the question's asking how I first got interested in aviation. I get asked that a lot and it's a really tough question. It's not, but to me it is, because I actually don't know how I got into it. I just know that since high school, I did want to be a pilot. I didn't go for it though at the time because I saw how much it costed, and knowing me, I wasn't sure if I was gonna commit, so I didn't want to ask for financial help, and I just thought maybe a few months down the line, when enough time passes, I won't really want to fly anymore. So I just kind of let it be and went off to college. But in college, I one day decided I really want to go for it. I cannot see myself sitting in an office cubicle for the rest of my life. Personally, for me, it's not something that I thought I could handle. So while I was in Korea for college, I tutored and worked at an English academy every single day, and I saved up as much as I could, which was still not enough, to at least get started on my private. Anything to share about what you could have known before starting your studies? So when I was an instructor, I used to like drill this into my students, or any student, anyone who was still in training's head, but you need to do a lot of preparation before you get into an airplane. If you just think, oh, my instructor is gonna teach me everything, and then you hop into a plane, you are gonna waste so much money and time, and it is just not an efficient way of doing it. If you want to make your training as cheap and quick and as efficient as possible, start by studying first. I used online study materials, and for me, YouTube taught me almost everything, and it was free. So I utilized YouTube as my main source of studying. And then number two, I had this online course called King School. It's really well organized. There's like little videos and clips, and at the end there's a mini quiz after each section. So it's very entertaining, kinda. I mean, the topic itself is really dry, but it's as entertaining as it could be. So I did all of that on my own. So if you're trying to not waste money and time, I would start studying first. And then also make sure that when you do a flight, you don't just go home and think, oh, that was good, I'm gonna relax. No, you go home, and whatever you learned that day, I don't know, ask your instructor if they can write you like a debrief. I used to have like I had an iPad with me with an Apple Pencil, so as we were in the air, I used to take notes for every single student on like things that I was noticing, things they could work on, because at the end of that hour, 2-hour flight, I'm a human too, so I'm gonna forget what just happened. So I used to take notes on everything. So maybe your instructor could take notes for you, give you a good debrief, and then once you get home after your flight, you're gonna sit on your chair and chair fly everything that you did that day and everything that you should know for the next lesson as well, so you show up prepared. You don't want to show up to a flight lesson and have absolutely no idea what's going on, because that is going to waste your time and your instructor's time, and no one appreciates that, especially not your wallet. Can you share any other vlogs while you were studying / training? Oh, like, do I have anything filmed while I was studying or training? I don't think I ever thought of doing YouTube back then, so I have no video clips of me flight training. But I do go fly occasionally. Like, I still go back to my flight school that I mainly trained at and taught at. So if I ever do go back, or whether it's for that or just for leisure, I'll make sure to take a GoPro with me. I guess it's not a question, but my daughter wants to become a pilot, and I'm starting with setting up a flight sim. That is so cute. I support that so hard. That's amazing. I love seeing female pilots. Well, that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any more questions, please feel free to let me know, and I will see you next time, hopefully. For now.